I'm Richard Lewis reporting for Cadred.org and always want to seize upon an opportunity. I'm here with Christian Ringdal, who some of you will remember from the experience, and just to prove he's not in Hawaii or in the Caribbean islands or anything like that, he's here, and I thought we'd take this time to talk to him. So, thanks very much for taking the time to jump in front of the cameras. First of all, got to ask, what is going on with the experience money? Where is it? What's happening? And you know, what's your version? I think there's a lot of people that are quite angry at the moment.
Yeah, no, and it's been quite a while. It's almost 2 years now, which is way too long. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm terribly sorry for the whole situation. It's not only for the players, it's a big mess, it's also a big mess for us. And right now we're trying to build up the experience and get it running again. It's of course a problem when the chain breaks off, how can I say, the engine won't run. And we could continue like most of the other events out there in big tournaments and just postpone the whole problem. You know, there's quite so many delays in esports in general, and we ended up in the same situation and are trying to get the finances in, and we've worked on various solutions, getting sponsors, getting funding, and none of it had worked out so far.
I got to ask, you know, in the first instance, when you initially realised there were problems, we had a talk about it at the Steel Series Esports Challenge, and you said then that if it went a full year, you would pay out of your own pocket because you didn't want to see people not have the prize money. It's now been almost 2 years, and you haven't, you know, you've reneged on that promise. What's changed?
Well, it's also, how can I say, a matter of speech or speaking, because I feel so personally involved in this, and I want to guarantee everybody that everybody gets their money. I mean, this is my highest priority. Of course, if I could pay out of my own pocket, I would do it, but I can't because I don't have that money.
Yeah, at the same
from elsewhere.
But at the same time, we're hearing about, you know, I know not a lot of people are aware of how the Danish kind of esports scene kind of works, but at the same time, you know, I understand you're the chairman of the Danish esports board. That's just had a significant investment in it. There's been an amount of money made available for esports projects. Is that correct?
No, not at all. Esport Denmark doesn't have any money, and it's got nothing to do with it. And that's also the problem. And it complicates things because I have so many involvements. I'm the president of Roskilde E-sports that runs the experience. I'm the president of the Danish Esports Federation, and then I got my job next to it where I work with events and gaming-related activities. So my goal is to try and, you know, build esport and get everything in. But how can I say, the finances are separate. And the issue with the experience is that the money should be paid out by Roskilde E-sports. And it's like you have a whole treasure box. Yeah. And that money is both spent on the experience event and activities in the clubhouse, etc. And the whole problem in 2009 was that there was a minus in how can I say, the whole finance flow, and it just completely broke the chain. And none of us saw it coming because we talked with both event managers and team managers and everybody that we had a problem in 2008. It wasn't going to happen again, and in 2009 we had almost the same problem. So instead of having it again in 2010, we decided to just stop, not do any more events until we had paid out the prize money.
Well, what measures are being taken now to make this prize money, you know, available to people? Because it seems to me that if you don't have any events, you can't generate any income, so you can't pay out any money. You're saying that even though you preside as chairman in these various esports associations, you're not willing to kind of laterally move funds and perhaps give a lot.
It's not allowed. You cannot.
No, I appreciate that, but I mean, there's got to be some sort of loopholes, because certainly people seem to find these loopholes when it benefits them, but when it doesn't, people seem to be less willing.
What we try and do is we try and say, okay, we take a break now, and then we build for the future, 2012 and onwards. And then this summer we're going to work at Roskilde Festival, and we have about 200 volunteer, people out there, and we get paid a service fee. And we want to dedicate that amount of money that we earn at the Roskilde Festival to start paying out the prize money. So hopefully we can have a completely different situation after the summer. That is my goal.
Well, another question would be, I'd have to ask, some people have received the money and others haven't.
Yes.
How have you been able to prioritize who gets it and who doesn't?
I don't know. I decided to take, below a certain amount of money and started paying that out, and then make agreements with the managers of the larger teams, and then hopefully we can end up where it's the biggest amount of money, and then that we need to settle, and then we settle those matters. How can I say, privately? So I'm not going to be able to disclose anything of that level, but hopefully before the summer we would be down to maybe having 5 or 6 teams that we owe prize money, and hopefully we can finish the rest after the summer.
I want to ask a little bit as well about the strategic partnership with DS-RAC that we talked about last time. Yeah. How's that been going, and has that been an avenue that's been able to benefit Roskilde E-sports?
It's quite simple. Thomas called me and asked me if he could borrow PCs, and I said yes, and that's the whole thing.
That's the extent of the strategic partnership.
No, nothing. And actually, I don't want to be affiliated in any part with DS-RAC. Thomas runs an event, and whatever situation he has, that's on his own. And of course, it's a little bit sad that there's also a situation there, and suddenly my name appeared. But the only, how can you say, connection is that he borrowed PCs. Like there's PCs at this event also.
Well, yeah, I got to ask about that. It has been brought to our attention that the DS-RAC, there's still some finances to be paid out there in terms of prize money, and I can understand people maybe jumping to the wrong conclusion because you're there and where exactly do you fit in this kind of Danish esports scene? Because there was this big rivalry between Sui and QDK, DS-RAC and Slap, and it seemed to spiral out of control, and you seem to be kind of almost in the middle, bridging gaps, but ultimately it doesn't seem to be benefiting anybody except these few names at the top. I mean, do you think that's a fair summary, or what are you, an astute businessman? What exactly is going on?
I think my biggest challenge is that I'm a dedicated guy that works on a voluntary basis on esport, and also I want to make a living. But maybe the living is going to be completely outside of the esport business, and then I can get back to working with esport as a hobby. And I can say for sure I'm going to stay with eSport Denmark and work in the federation and try and build political support around eSport, try and get eSport acknowledged as a sport here in Denmark. I'm going to continue that until people don't trust my work anymore. We have a completely open democracy, and I'm elected president, so if people don't trust my work, then I trust they vote somebody else. And I'm also going to stay and work in Roskilde E-sports, building the whole clubhouse, and then future events like the experience and everything else, we're going to save that until we pay the prize money. That's the first and highest priority at our list completely.
Well, just before we sign off, I want to mention a little bit as well about the board and the Danish Esports board. And you're absolutely right, you are democratically elected. There's no disputing that. However, it's been said that there are people who sit on that board that maybe don't have the experience, the knowledge. There's a lot of younger guys who preside over it. Do you think the board would benefit from bringing in some new blood and maybe people who are going to challenge some of the things that perhaps you yourself and some of your associates want to do? Because it seems to be at the moment that there's almost a bit of nepotism going on with the board. A lot of friends, a lot of kind of people that have long-standing relationships. Would you agree that the time for new blood would benefit Danish esports as a whole?
There's always open for new blood at all time. But I just want to say it's not like there's any young guys. I mean, we got Michael Antonsen, who is above 40. There's me, I'm turning 37. We got Nels, he's 38.
I guess I mean young in terms of esports experience.
But I mean, we're there because we believe in this. And a year ago, Said also was in the board, and he's of course welcome back if he wants to be there. So it's open, and we have a dialogue there. But we are elected by the clubs and the organizations that are member of our organization, and everybody who wants to join can join, and they can vote differently. And we already had talks on the board about opening more spaces. Like we have 5 people in the board now, and in the future we could be 7 and 9. It's completely open for that. Okay. But just to make it clear, eSport Denmark is a separate matter. It's got nothing to do with Roskilde E-sports, except that Roskilde E-sports is a member of eSport Denmark, but it's 2 independent boards, and it's 2 separate finances.
Yeah, I understand that. So yeah, just to kind of sum it all up, what I'd really like, and I think what would be great for everyone, is if we could get some kind of, even if it's a vague idea, of a deadline, because a line doesn't need to be drawn under this. There's people still waiting for the money. It's not like we're talking about people who make a lot of money out of esports at the best of times. When do you think, realistically, you can get the money paid out by?
without any promises or anything, my hope is that in 30 days I would have a pretty clear indication of the amount of money that we'll be able to start paying out, and then we could also start initiating and have a plan. And then I believe what we would do is we would start doing some partial payout, and then hopefully we would have it settled during fall. That is my hope.
Okay.
This is the goal that we have. As you know, I've had past goals and milestones, and things turned out differently. And I just want to make clear to people, of course I have a responsibility, but if you have a third party that brings in promises and goes in a different direction, then it's pretty hard. So I know I'm the idiot right now, and I take it on me, and I'm going to stay on as the idiot until we have paid out the prize money. Then hopefully we can start focus on what it's all about, e-sport and gaming.
Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us, and obviously I hope it gets resolved soon. It took a lot of balls to come out and talk to everyone, so kudos for that. And of course, to all the people at cadred.org, while this was a bit of a surprise and impromptu interview, there's going to be more coverage of Copenhagen Games right from the venue, so do stay tuned to our website.